Welcome to the Be Ruthless Show, where we have the conversations that other people don't, the conversations that other people won't. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and I'm ready to make a lot of noise and disrupt things, ruthlessly. Thanks for being here today. Now let's get to it. Welcome back to the Be Ruth. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and Sassy and Dallas wanted to join me today. It is gorgeous, Colorado. What is the weather like by you? Sassy's about to trip over the cord here. It's what happens when we do live things in real time in this world, right? Dallas took. Sassy's about, and we have some chaos. Oh, April, hello, spring, world. What's happening? I want to talk today. Today is National Counseling Month. And over the last week, I have had different people ask me about them in different ways. And so I want to talk about what counseling means, what that looks like, because I have had several conversations with people about the fact that they are interviewing. This is their service, right? And so whenever they want it to, that's not always talked about. It's not advertised anywhere, right? We don't see billboards and commercials out there, counseling groups, okay to talk to people. I was just reading an article earlier this morning about the percentage of school in Colorado and why. And I talked about what mental health here compared to what it was like in Michigan. It's different. There are not as provided for you in the schools like there are in the Midwest, and people sometimes just stay home because and to just not avail at their fingertips. That's that we need to make more common in schools. I was on a podcast last week about what can we do for people with anxiety, and I talk in general about what can we do for struggling or not, whether they tell you they're struggling or not. We live in a world where so many things are invisible. We don't know what people are dealing with, and it's not always easy to speak up and share it. I would say that 75% of my time is spent having conversations with teachers, principals, families to help people understand what someone experiences, to help them understand that even though we look okay, even though it's been X number of weeks, months, maybe even years since an event has happened, and that event can be a car accident, that event can be a death, that event can be anything, that event can be an not a shooting, but the preparing for a shooting, I can't think of the word right now, the prep that kids have to go through in schools right now. I had to go through tornado warnings, drills that they go through just in case. That's the world we live in, that these kids live in right now. That's what they have to go through. But that event, the preparing for, can create real aftermath, real anxiety, real outcomes that are invisible. And so parents, teachers, employers don't see it. You don't see interrupted sleep, inability to sleep. You don't see difficulty concentrating and a change in the ability to perform a task that looks. See someone doing their work. You don't know the struggle that is happening. Oh, thank you. Apparently I'm having some issues with sound. This is the world we live in, technology. Thank you for letting me know. So we live in this world where people might look okay. And so some people are just choosing not to go to school or work because it's easier to stay home and say I'm sick than it is to have the conversation and explain what we're struggling with. So I spend a lot of my time bridging that gap and helping have those conversations to set up adjustments and things that we can put in place to get those jobs done, to get those assignments and those tasks done, because they still can be done, but we have to get them done differently. And so, what does counseling look like for you? What does it mean? If this is National Counseling Month, there are many people who are in counseling who choose not to talk about it, and that's your right. But we can help break the stigma, and we can help make counseling less judged, less criticized, if some of us are willing to say, I go to counseling and I love it, and it's part of what helps me get through life. It's part of what helps me get through my ups and downs or my difficult, stressful days. I talk about how to navigate this and that, right? And we can help people who have no clue what it is. Some people only know what they see in the movies or what they think it is. And so here I am telling people it can be whatever you want it to be. That might not be the case in other places, but you get to interview as many people as you want until you find the right fit. I have someone who isn't ready to talk on the phone. They want to email. Perfect. If that is what you're comfortable with, you are in charge. You get to decide how you want it to be with the person you are comfortable sharing. Somebody said, I don't want to talk about my childhood. You do not have to. My philosophy, the way I work, is that I am client-centered. This is about you. I'm heart-centered. I care about you doing it your way, and I'm solution-focused. I want to find solutions to your goals, not mine. I'm not asking you to lay on a couch, right? Some people think that you have to lay on a couch and talk about your deep, dark childhood family issues because that's what they have heard or seen. If you would prefer to email and talk about what is going on this week and your goals for how to get from this Monday to next, great. You can choose. I have clients who prefer phone. I have clients who prefer a walk outside in Colorado if they're in my state city, right? You are in charge. We don't say that enough. Anyone I talk to, you're interviewing me. I never end an appointment with when would you like to come back next? You're interviewing me. What if you don't like me? You certainly might not want to come back, and I don't want to put you on the spot and say, make another appointment, because there are people who are polite who will. That's not right. That's not fair. It's their choice. So I'm going to say, you decide if you feel comfortable, reach out. I will check back in with you in a couple of days. And if I'm not the person for you, I'll help you find that person. Not everyone works that way, but you are searching for the person who's right for you in anything. Doctor, teacher, person who works on your car, lawyer, right? We are not taught enough that it's up to us and we get to choose. So even though I'm talking about the fact that it is Counseling Awareness Month, it's many awarenesses, right? It's also Stress Awareness Month. It is also Autism Acceptance Month, Child Abuse Prevention Month. So many things. Whatever we are dealing with, sometimes people can put that power in someone else's hands. I'm not making decisions for you. And sometimes my clients want me to. Believe me, I've wanted other people to. I have wanted someone to just say, can you just tell me what to do, please? Make that decision for me, right? It's not my decision. It's not my life. I'm here to guide and help give you some resources and options and insight, but it is not even my goals to make. You might come to me with a few things to talk about. I can make suggestions and say, do you want to work on? But I'm not even going to say, I suggest we work on. Not my life. Somebody else might work differently. And you might prefer someone who does say, I suggest. There might be a point that I would. If there's something glaring in my face, once we've gotten to know each other more, I'm not going to let something important slip by. But it is your time, your life, not my goals. And there are times I might want there to be a goal. I have sat back and watched people stay in unhealthy work environments longer than I would have liked them to. They were unhappy, right? They have to figure out their life, their path, right? They do. I can see that they might want something different before they see it. That's because we can all do that, right? Can't you see that in other people? It's so much easier when it's not us. When it's us, when it's my life, it takes me forever. I can see it so much easier when I'm looking out from the outside in someone else's. But it is not my place to decide for anyone. So in this week that I've had so many people just saying, can we do it this way? Or I really am not comfortable with this. It made me think about the fact that people don't even know that there are options, that you can do it any way you want. I have, back in the days of sitting in an office, I had someone who I knew had an uncomfortable topic that might be tough to talk about face to face. So we sat out like back to back on opposite sides of the door. It worked. There's stuff that you got to get creative with, and you have to do what's going to be comfortable. I had a client who wouldn't talk years ago. My first where I started at, my internship where I learned everything, the sanctuary in Royal Oak. And we did other things, colored, game, all sorts of things. But at one point, it just crossed my mind that animals are so therapeutic, right? Dallas was sitting here a minute ago. So I got permission to bring, at that point in time, I had Harley to work. And never once did he speak to me, but he talked to Harley. And I don't remember how, because it was a teen runaway shelter. There was so much chaos going on, but I was able to arrange an hour a day just for that person to bring Harley in, and it worked. He talked to her, not me. And you figure out what works for each person, and you do what's best for each person. That's my style. Your life, you get a vote. Where you live, where you work, who you let into your world, not only in this topic. So I thought it was important. I always see themes, right? Nothing comes up just once. When so many people are bringing something up, I think it needs to be talked about in a bigger place. So I wanted to share that here. People are also starting to talk about healing together through the holidays. It's coming up in December in the Metro Detroit area. I am getting so much excitement, so much love. If you want to be a part of this world, you don't have to do anything more than ask me. People are sharing posts. People are just excited that there is a place to talk about grief, to talk about mental illness, to talk about things that other people don't talk about. It's not going to be 7 days of lectures and crying. It's going to be a place where you can also sit down and experience the types of healing that we talk about. Journal writing, Reiki, talking to a medium. People don't know what a grief event is, and that in itself is a problem, right? People don't know what it means to attend something like this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it, even though it's so far away, because I want people to know that it's safe and comfortable, and there will be food, and you can walk around, and you don't have to sit and just talk about sad things. The way we get through any type of difficult thing is by talking about it more, by practicing. I compare it to riding a bike. Just because we all fell off and scraped our knee, and we still got back on, and we learned to do it, and it wasn't scary or difficult anymore. And that's what grief can be to everybody who thinks it's something that they don't want to attend or talk about. It's not going to be that way. There will be laughing. There will be stories. We'll get to talk about people we've lost and times that we thought we would never smile again, and how we got there, and how we got there together. It's not something you can get through alone. Some people get through it with counseling, right? But that doesn't work for everyone. And so all the different ways that you can get through it, because something might not work for you, and something might not work for you right now that will maybe work for you later. Meditation is a daily part of my life right now, and I never would have believed I'd be saying that or doing it. Sam before losing Jim would laugh. There are things that just may not work at one given moment that at another point in time, or a difficult, painful point in time, you're willing to try again. So being a part of this might just be a connection or a community or a way to get through something. Letting people in when you're struggling can be scary. Letting people in at any point can be scary. But it's how I got through this, and it's how I have found some of the people who are the most important people, not just since losing Jim, but they're really the most important people in my world now. And taking that step and being willing to just try something. It doesn't even have to be this. Trying something that you've wanted to try. Trying something that sounds fun. Trying counseling because it's counseling month. Trying something because you're hurting. Trying something because a friend invites you. That might just be what gets you through. Trying a new podcast. Trying a new way that you didn't like in the past. That's really, really, truly how I got here. And it took me longer than a lot of people liked, right? We all have our own path. Mine was slow, mine was long. And some of the people who were my biggest critics are now my biggest fans and see my successes. And I've just been through a difficult stretch if you've been following my path. And we just can't get through it alone. It's impossible. It makes it harder. It makes it last longer. So if this is something that is appealing to you, even just reaching out and saying, can I be there? Can I get involved? What would that look like? I'd love to be a part of it. That might just be your community, your next step. And it definitely can be scary. You do not have to know why. I had no clue why I was drawn to reaching out to Jack Canfield, other than the fact that he had always been my mentor. I used his books myself and with my clients, and nothing else sounded at all remotely appealing. Not one thing. So I did it. And every other person there was there for their business. They knew why they were there. And I was there because I was lost. At that point in time, I did not believe I would stay in my profession. I knew I loved Jack Canfield, and I knew I needed a next, and I had no clue what it was. And here I am. These people became family. They lifted me up while I couldn't keep myself up, and I found my way. They helped me find it, and who knew that I would be here? This podcast didn't exist. Grief Hab didn't exist, right? So you don't have to know why. It just has to feel right, and you follow that. Again, that is something I did not live by. I laughed at that. That was unfamiliar to me. That is how I live now. It's an integral part of who I am and how I live. I was just getting by. I was just surviving. So can I be a part of this event? Can I join the pottery club? Can I go to this sailing group? Anything that feels right, that might be your next. So follow that feeling, and that is your guide, and you don't have to know anything more than that. Trust the invite, trust yourself, trust the feeling, tune out all the noise. It's everywhere. Remember, my people were telling me to speed it up, hurry up, get back to work. Had I done that, I wouldn't be here. So thank you so much for being a part of my journey, my world, this community. And until next time, always be ruthless.
Thanks so much for listening today. Your support means everything to me, truly. If this podcast resonates with you, please do me a favor and join in the Ruthless movement by making some noise and doing one of these 4 things. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Tell a friend so we can break stigmas even faster. Leave a review so people can see what you think of the show. And last, if you want to learn more about me and be a part of the Grief Hab community, please head on over to the Facebook group. We'd love to have you. Thanks again for spending your time with us, and see you next week.